Good day. We're here to discuss the natural history trip number 4. This is a 2-week exercise. Not much of a write-up each week, but you have 2 places to visit, so it counts as trip number 4, A and B. You get 1 grade for it because, again, the write-up is not that intense. The first week, you're to visit Weeden Island Cultural and Natural History Center. There's a museum. Oh, it's a whole park. Beautiful fishing pier, lovely kayak trails. But your task is to visit the museum and take a walk over the boardwalk to the observation deck. So we'll start off with in the museum. The first thing I'd like you to observe, get a picture of, is the canoe, an ancient paleo canoe that was discovered. In marine biology, we're looking at the culture of the area and how intimately tied to the ocean it is. And these canoes open up trade, open up new avenues to obtain food, and they were very important for the indigenous people. And obviously, people have changed the marine environment, so it's something that's cool that we should look at. In the live class in semesters, we have a whole natural history discussion when we go there, but we are going to more or less focus on several points, not quite as in depth. As you walk through the museum, you'll see how the canoe was built. You'll see the pottery associated with this Weeden Island culture, and middens, which were huge mounds. The kitchen refuse went there, so you knew how intimately tied to the sea they were. We find pottery there, so we know what they worship, their art, their culture, and they built their houses on these middens to help prevent flood. So very, very cool bit of natural history this week as you see the canoe, and then you enter the museum and you see the displays on the Weeden Island Native American culture. After you go through the museum, there's a boardwalk, and you're to take the boardwalk to the observation tower. As you're on the boardwalk, you'll go through mangrove forest. You'll go through the canopy, though, so you'll see it from a totally different point of view. A lot of buttonwoods, so I'd like you to identify the 3 types of mangroves and the buttonwoods. Right before you get to the observation tower, there will be a huge, flat, maybe smelly area called the salt meadow. So take some pictures of the salt meadow, the best you can get. I have a decently zoomed camera, so I can zoom in and take pictures of the salicornia and the pickleweed and the purslane. But, you know, get a feel, because this is an area that gets flooded, and then the water evaporates, leaving salt. So years and years and years of this flood salt makes it a very, very salty area. So trees can't grow there. The soil's been poisoned by salt, and only extremely salt-tolerant plants can grow there. So that's what a salt meadow is. Very, very short, fast-growing, salt-tolerant plants near the water's edge. When you walk up the observation tower, it's really cool because you'll be able to say St. Pete on one side, if it's a nice day, and Tampa on the other side. When you're at the museum, you'll also need to take some pictures. I think I'll be describing that later in this lesson. Okay, so at the museum, the first task is for a future lab. We're going to be doing a lab on plankton, and there's 3 displays of plankton. You have the phytoplankton, the zooplankton, and the meroplankton. Okay, the phytoplankton, they have models there of diatoms and stuff. These are the photosynthetic. Get pictures of them and get that information. You'll need it for future labs. The zooplankton, they have some copepods and some other large models. Get pictures of them, get that information. And the meroplankton, which are larvae, planktonic larvae, fish larvae, if I recall, they have nauplius. Get pictures of them, get that information. You'll need all of that for another lab. Okay, the second is your Weeden Island. There are questions in the handout that are based on things you'll see in the museum. So as you walk through the museum, answer those questions. Also, get some pictures of your boardwalk trip, the mangroves, the buttonwood, and the salt meadow. If you can get a good picture of Tampa and St. Pete, I wouldn't mind seeing that as well. So cover pictures of your trip and the questions answered in full sentences. That's your first week. So it's not a huge write-up. And hang on to that week. Second week, you're at Fort DeSoto. You were already at Fort DeSoto once, and I mentioned you might want to look at the future labs and get them all done in one day. So this one is, again, not going to take you too long. I've included a picture here of the parking lot by the fort. The Battery Bigelow, you'll visit that. That is an old gunnery that's now in the water, but you can wade right out to it. Sometimes it even touches the water, depending on the tides, touches the land. It's really fun. It's beautiful. It's right by the fishing pier. The second one, the Battery Lady, is the fort. I recommend walking through the fort while you're there. It's a wonderful day. And that third arrow is pointing to a museum. And there's questions that you will find based on information in the museum. So you need to visit that museum and do the questions on the natural history of Pinellas County and Fort DeSoto. Also, in the fish lab, you'll be required to get pictures of fish. Now, you can go to the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, and the extra credit is actually based on the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, so you might want to choose that. That'll get all your fish, no worries at all. You can go to the Tampa Aquarium. That'll get all your fish, no worries at all. Or you can visit fishing piers and get pictures of fish caught by fishermen. Now, as luck would have it, you're at Fort DeSoto and there's two fishing piers. There's a Gulf Pier and a Bay Pier. So you might want to mosey on down to the pier and get some pictures and tuck them away for the fish lab, which is in the future. So while you're at Fort DeSoto, you have the Arrowhead, which was trip 2. This, you have the natural history, the museum, and then, I don't know the number offhand, but you have a beach trip, North Beach. So you can get 3 trips plus part of the fish lab done all in one shot, okay? Fort DeSoto is one of my favorite places, beautiful beaches. I hope you have a great time visiting it. Thank you. Right up, second part, cover. You already did that with Weeden Island, so natural history cover. Answer the questions based on the museum and the fort, and go to Battery Bigelow. Be careful, it can be slippery. Be careful. Get some pictures of encrusting organisms, things that are growing on the battery. There will be a lot of them, from different barnacles, limpets, algae growing on it, whatever you can find. 5 different. Use your field guide to ID. Also, remember in the orientation, you have all those PowerPoints that I made from images. That's a good resource as well. So have fun at Fort DeSoto. Wear sunscreen, Stingray Shuffle at all times, and enjoy yourself. Have a great day.